Subnautica 2 has officially been unveiled by the studio Unknown Worlds, the developers behind the original Subnautica game, and by the initial reactions on social media, oh boy, are we certainly in for a banger here. What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of Smash JT. I initially saw this picture of this woman in the trailer, I guess it's a woman, and people were having a field day with it. And I was a little bit confused, so I started sharing it out on Twitter, and a lot of people were having some fun with it and commenting that it looks like an alien or someone out of Men in Black and showing a bunch of movie clips, and, people just having fun with it all over the place. Like, whatever, no big deal. It's kind of like what happens in gaming these days. And I was like, you know what? I actually want to dive a little bit further into Subnautica 2. Pun definitely intended. And holy crap! What I discovered behind the scenes of this company is right up there with some of the craziest DEI bridge injections in studios that I've seen in my life. Hit that subscribe, give me a like, and check out SmashJT.com for the full and very exhaustive deep dive into Unknown Worlds, the company behind Subnautica 2. And not just Unknown Worlds, but Craftin' Americas, which is something that most people probably never heard of before, but it's their parent company. And holy crap, diving into them exposes the true intentions with these kinds of games. While many fans were initially excited to find out more about the follow-up for Subnautica, aptly named Subnautica 2, a closer look at the character designs has raised eyebrows and widened chins. The characters presented in the trailer all appear androgynous, an all too familiar look of characters in all these DEI injection games these days, stripped of any kind of distinct gender features and raising those all too familiar questions about the developers' priorities. And as I go through this further, I'd like to say I'm going to blow your mind with it, but I feel like at this point, people have gotten all too accustomed to just how crazy the DEI has run through game companies. One of the most telling signs of the DEI agenda can be found right on their website, where they say straight up, "We want to unite the world through play by making unique games with a globally represented team." And it's funny how they always seem to choose these words: diverse, representative, inclusive, equitable. We want marginalized voices. It's all the same buzzwords in all these game companies. They always use them. And it's like a dog whistle for trying to get attention from investors. In their Who We Are section, the studio reinforces the DEI push by proudly highlighting their diverse team. We strive to create inclusive experiences through diverse representation of characters, cultures, environments, and more. Because when I sit down to play a video game, that's what I look for in it. Again, we see the ridiculous emphasis on inclusivity and representation everywhere, as if making sure that all possible identities are covered has somehow become more important than ensuring that the game itself is innovative or fun in any way. And they dive even further into this on their career page, stating, "At Unknown Worlds, we pride ourselves on being a globally based and represented team. As such, we are committed to diversity as one of our core values. However, we also have the responsibility to ensure that our values translate to concrete actions. What games we make, how we make them, and how we hire our people. We pledge to carry out this effort in earnest, with an open mind and with the intention to improve the industry for everyone." I gotta stop right there and just ask, how is this improving the industry for everyone when it's been shown time and time again that injecting DEI actually makes the industry worse? Because at the end of the day, DEI goes away from merit-based hiring and ultimately makes the staff weaker. We're dedicated to working towards that goal in many ways and improve some things we're already doing. We believe this is long overdue and will ultimately broaden the perspective of creativity in our games. We understand that this means ongoing commitment, education, discussion, and outside advice where necessary. Outside advice where necessary almost kind of sounds like they're looking to hire a consultation firm like Sweet Baby Inc. to have someone come in and assist them with their DEI. And if you thought that was bad, it only gets crazier. Going to their career page and they're hiring a job application. Down towards the bottom it says, don't meet every single requirement? Studies have shown that women and people of color are less likely to apply at jobs unless they meet every single qualification. At Unknown Worlds, we are dedicated to building a diverse, inclusive, and authentic workplace. Which, by the way, gotta cut that off right there and say, if you are going out of your way to hire people that are not as qualified as the other people applying, but just because they check a box like they're a woman or they're a person of color, that somehow is going to make the experience that comes out more authentic? Authentic in whose mind? And in addition to that, I find it absolutely hysterical looking at the staff photo and struggling to find anyone who is actually actively employed at Unknown Worlds that happens to be a person of color. Yet in the trailer for Subnautica 2, everyone is a person of color. So we have a situation where developers are creating black characters and they're not even black. They're going completely out of their way to insert people of color into their game when they're not even people of color themselves. This is not a problem or a rule that I would care about, but could you imagine if the roles were reversed on the other side and how they would be losing their mind because some developers were doing this that didn't agree with their ideologies? They would use this as a way to cancel them. Which ironically brings me back to the job description and what they're begging for. So if you're excited about this role, but your past experience doesn't align perfectly with every qualification in the job description, we encourage you to apply anyways. Almost like what Kim Belair was saying on stage, we're like, oh, we bring in black voices and marginalized people because they don't have the qualifications. They haven't had the opportunities in their life to get what other people had. So we're just going to let them skip the line, come to the front and say, we'll give you the opportunity here because you look a certain way. While I couldn't find any mention of them currently working with an outside consultancy company like Sweet Baby Inc., the language on their website tells me that Unknown Worlds is essentially following the playbook of ESG. ESG meaning environmental, social, and governance. And the ESG scores is very important when you're looking for those big-time investors to drop money into you. And I'll get to that in just a second. The website is littered with phrases like unite the world, inclusive experiences, and diverse representation, all of which are hallmarks of companies that have adopted a more subtle form of DEI. And that subtle form of DEI that I'm talking about is that word bridge once again that Kirsch was famous for talking about with how Microsoft was getting rid of their DEI teams and they were telling everyone that they're stepping away from that, when in reality all they were doing was insidiously putting these people in the positions throughout the company instead of having an external team come into it. That way it's so much harder to try to point out what the issues are. And clear as day, it looks like Unknown Worlds is doing the same damn thing. We're seeing this happen more and more, it seems. Unlike more blatant DEI efforts, which are easy to criticize and dismiss, these kind of stealthy bridge programs weave the DEI principles into the very fabric of the company's operations, making it nearly impossible to separate the actual work from the ideological agendas. By integrating DEI into every aspect of their development process, they've shielded themselves from direct scrutiny while continuing to push the agenda through the content that they produce. And I'd like to say they're trying their best to shield themselves from me, but I'm going to call this out every time I see it. It looks like it all started to go downhill for them after the initial Subnautica released. They joined a parent company called Craftin Americas, which I dove into a little bit further because I was so intrigued where all this DEI verbiage comes from. And wouldn't you know it, on the Craftin Americas website, it goes into all this stuff, the DEI, the ESG scores, the male versus female hiring processes, everything they care about to make sure that they are funded by these global investment firms. They don't care about the games, they don't care about the employees, they care about checking boxes to get investment dollars. Teamwork is the foundation that allows us to achieve our goals. Our team members share a common vision and passion to help us realize these goals. Together, we are stronger, and we believe in leveraging our multicultural team to bring their own beliefs, ideas, and experiences to Crafton to resolve any challenges as one. Because apparently just picking people all over the place and injecting them specifically into your company is going to somehow make you think more diverse naturally? And don't get it twisted, their ESG score is front and center on their website as well, giving their MSCI ratings and their KCGS ratings, talking about the year annually 2022, 2023, 2024, and how their grade is subsequently shown here. And this is important for those major investment firms that we always talk about, like BlackRock and Vanguard. Right out in front of us, clear as day. The rabbit hole goes deep, and they try really hard to hide this stuff. And now that it's starting to get exposed, they're going to start hiding it again, because that's what always happens. They know what they're doing isn't natural. They know it's not what makes the games better. They know at the end of the day that they're not making these games to make the games great. They're making them to get investors to give them money. And that is not how the industry should work. Their approach is eerily similar to Bridge DEI programs, blending diversity initiatives into the company's culture and branding, making it harder for it to be called out. But just because it's hidden doesn't mean it's not there. In fact, in this case, it's pretty blatant all over their websites. Eventually, the cracks will show, and like many companies before them, Unknown Worlds will likely find that DEI doesn't pay the bills. Quality products do. And it's only a matter of time before they figure that out. Anyways, I'm going to leave it there. If you guys want more information in a very exhaustive deep dive article, I will link the Smash JT article in the description below. If you appreciate what I'm doing, hit that join button. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, you stay smashing. Smash JT.